Kaleb in Green Bay, a 6-time Smackoff participant. He's got 2 third-place finishes on the stat sheet. A guy who I've been championing for years as this generation's Terrence and Sierra Madre, a.k.a. the best to never win one. Sidebar, Terrence, you're welcome to participate, my man. I don't know what your smack level is like. I don't know the last time you actually heard the program. But Terrence, there is a golden ticket for you. All you have to do is call up and claim it. You don't even have to earn it. You've already done that. Just call up and claim it. But back to this cat. This cat really is the Terrence of this generation, the best who never win it. It's the type of handle that comes with a grip of baggage generally because it's a reminder both of how good you are, but a reminder also of you have not won the big prize. And with each passing year, it becomes a bigger question mark as to whether or not it's going to happen, right? So now we're getting to that point where Benny and Wisco and Rick in Buffalo might start to take issue with it and take additional flack. Because these dudes are right there every single year. They're right there every single year. And in some cases, I might say, it's not a question of if, but a matter of when. But you wonder, right? If the BIC's not going anywhere and left's not going anywhere and these guys are playing the game at the same time, are they going to get theirs? Will Kaleb get theirs? Now, there's also an argument to be made that you can be great without ever having won one of these things. You know that whole thing about sports? Yeah, you can't be great unless you have a strap. You can't be great unless you have a ring. It's not true. I mean, would anybody say Charles Barkley is not great? He has no ring. By that same token, just having a ring does not make you great. There's a lot of scrubs walking around with rings that had nothing to do with winning that ring. So it's not that simple. I'm going to say with Kaleb, he hasn't won yet, but you can't say he's not a great caller because he is. He's smart. He's funny as hell. He's got a lot going for him. Unfortunately, last year at Smackoff 26, one of those things that he had going for him was not his phone. It wasn't smart because it sucked a lot of the funny out of the call. Like, of the 5 minutes that he did last year, I'm only able to salvage maybe 40% or 40 decent seconds from playback. But you can hear the potential as Kaleb threw it all the way back to the JRIB days.
Welcome. What is up? Thank you for tuning into the program. I've got a tremendous Friday call for you. My name is Kaleb in Green Bay, and here is what I am burning on. Anybody can write a Mike and Indy call. All you need is a dictionary, a pair of scissors, and a baseball cap. Just cut out a few random words, toss them in, swish them around for a few seconds, and voila. My call last year was so radioactive, Aaron Rodgers took a rhinoceros to the pharmacy. My call last year was so bedazzled, Jason La Canfora played Monopoly at a birthday party. Mike, nobody understands what the hell you're talking about. Hey, Matt and Van, I love that line about there being 200 countries in the world and 180 of them are free. I liked it better when you said it 2 years ago. Who steals lines from themselves? What do you do when you cash your paycheck? Put a gun to your head? Call yourself and demand a ransom? All right, I want to thank you for tuning into the show. Around the Horn is next. I will see you on Monday. I am out.
All right, so really too bad that he was on a horrible line because that could have been a classic. Instead, he ends up number 10, barely hitting the board. Now, Kaleb is not afraid to take some risks and try different things. He once called as Rick in Buffalo the camp counselor. He had his mom appear in a Smackoff. He RSVP'd as Buffalo Bill from The Silence of Lambs.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Some mood music for the defending champ. Now he's feeling it. Then Left takes off his suit. And no, not his new David August threads. I'm talking about his custom Jim Rome suit that he got straight out of Buffalo Bill's basement. He puts on a little lipstick, maybe some mascara, sensually grabs the microphone, stares at Alvin DeLauro and says, "Would you rack me? I'd rack me. I'd rack me hard. I'd rack me so hard."
So there was also the time where he pretended to host a radio show while he was on my radio show. And, of course, his Smackoff call where he flashed back and made a call that you would hear in 1995.
I would never miss the first annual Great American Smackoff. I knew that 1995 was going to be all that and a bag of chips, so I'm going to hit this competition harder than Natron means business up the middle on first and goal. Let's get after it, Jim. You know why I take a lot of scuds? Because I get a lot of scuds. And you know this better than anyone. There is a long, long line of callers waiting to take a swing at me like I'm a piñata full of welfare checks, spouting the same unoriginal takes, fat, virgin, lives with his parents. But it just goes to remind everyone that your listeners are not clones of you. They're clones of each other, clogging up the phone lines, jamming up the fax machine day after day for years on end. Would it shock anybody when you open up the fish wrap and see they finally caught the Unabomber? He won't be living in some shack in Montana. He'll be like a mechanic in Escondido wearing an extra Sport 690 T-shirt and asking the feds for a drug test drop. Crown, Wisconsin. Huge.
Like, this kid is clever. Really clever. You got to pay really close attention or you're going to miss the bit. He's never going to explain his angles or his jokes before he does them. He just expects you to understand. He expects you to figure it out based on how much he's giving you. Like, there was no way he was going to stop his 2019 Smackoff call and reset the Jason Avant parody and ruin the big reveal. So instead, he just rolled with it as a nice carrot to longtime Jungle listeners.
Please rise and remove your caps for the singing of our national anthem. Kaleb in Green Bay, he's the man. Kaleb in Green Bay's got great smack. Kaleb in Green Bay says, I want to win the Smackoff, yeah. Kaleb in Green Bay's a great caller to the jungle.
Such a great moment. Like, he's got a really good way of rewarding longtime listeners. He's constantly honoring the history and the legacy of the show through really imaginative resets. You can almost argue that he's too smart for his own good, that his stuff sometimes misses the mark because it's a little too inside and not straightforward enough. However, he will get his hands dirty. And he will go for the classic smack just like everybody else. Don't believe me? Ask my guy Rick in Buffalo.
Rick, you said yesterday you wanted to start a charity drive to get my stomach stapled, but at least I can do something about my physical deformity. I was going to start a GoFundMe to fix yours, but I don't know how much stilts go for these days. But I guess at least we know why his voice is so chalky. It's because he eats handfuls of Flintstones vitamins to try to catch up to his students. And this is all irrespective of his garbage phone calls. Rome, think of it this way. Of all the brilliant callers you've had in the past, Aya Frady, Doc Mike, Sean, Brad, Josh in Detroit, I mean, not only the greats, but the ones the greats aspire to be. But the guy who currently sits atop the Jungle Power Rankings with his little baby legs dangling over the edge has never uttered a more clever phrase than, Kaleb is fat, you friggin' moron. I can't comprehend how this guy is so popular, Jim. I will never understand it.
Listen, I don't want to say that Kaleb has the misfortune of coming along at the same time as Brad and Lef, or the misfortune of saying he's just the right guy at the wrong time, in the wrong era. You know, the era where two guys have evenly split the last 6 titles. I really don't want to say that because I really do believe that Kaleb's got the game to beat anybody and everybody.
It's me. It's that Kaleb. Rome, Matt in Vancouver just said I couldn't win the Smackoff because I look like a porta potty in a camo hat. Pretty rich that he thinks I wear camo when he's the one who's so unnoticeable we literally forgot he was even in the field. I heard Rick in Buffalo's call yesterday, which is funny because I wasn't listening to the show, but he's so loud it doesn't matter. Hey, Benny and Wisco, seriously, bro, in the first grade, were you hooked on phonics or hooked by a bass fisherman? You sound like Mike Tyson hired a speech therapist. Is it take your grandfather to work day? Seriously, the new guy looks so old. This guy hasn't been around electricity since the last time he flew a kite in a thunderstorm. You have Keith Arnold drinking out of that disgusting cup he never washes, and now you have Benedict Arnold sipping ale from a mug made of whalebone. But it's cool because if the Stew studio ever gets chilly in the winter, you can ask Charles Ingalls over there to chop some firewood for the stove.
Can you imagine what would happen if one of these cadavers from the days of yore won the Smackoff, like Carbone or the Cablinasian? They'd go longer in between titles than Rick and Buffalo when he can't afford a used car. Now, I'm not saying that high school teachers don't get paid very well, but I am saying that to save money on laundry, Rick just showers with his clothes on. He slams one Tide Pod over his melon, another one under his armpits, and a third in his mouth for a light snack.
And I've always wondered how Adam Hawk has a worse body than me. Bro, I'm walking around with a front porch that's more like a veranda, but you're the one in the chiropractor's office every couple days. You have the voice of a 20-year-old, the hair of a 60-year-old, and the spine of a 100-year-old. We can all see that Keith Arnold looks like Chael Sonnen let himself go, but I would never say that out loud. Kaleb versus everybody. I don't want sympathy. I don't want a pity party. Take your best shot, tough guys. I'll see you in my driveway.
A couple of my buddies wanted to remind you of something.
Hey, Jim Rome, it's Randy and Jason Sklar. And you know what the Smackoff is? It's a walrus game.
Like I said, I know this guy's got the goods. I know this guy can win. But I believe it starts with finding a much better phone this year. Kaleb, when you find that phone, go ahead, give me a call. It's been way too long, dude. I think that I'm going to see you on the 25th, but why don't you go ahead and just remove the guesswork from it completely and let us know. Let us know that you have a good phone this year. Let us know that you're going to be there on the 25th. Let us know that this is the year you finally break through. Wells in the 360 tweets in reaction to that. The Jason Avant parody was underrated. Hey, a lot of his stuff is, man. You got to put some respect on his name. He has done and said some of the funnier things ever on this program. Rome, that was a good reset of Kaleb. I forgot about his take on Mike and Indy. Hilarious. JP in Riverside. This is why we do this, because you often forget how good these guys are. You often forget why they're in the field to begin with. Rich in the Lou, quote, great profile on Leb. Listen, Leb makes it easy. The only hard part, or the only challenge in doing a profile on Leb, is to get to the best stuff, because there's so much. A lot of it ends up on the cutting room floor. Matt in Vancouver's back. I wonder if Kaleb's voice has gotten any deeper after putting on his 80 pounds of COVID weight. I don't know, Matt. We're going to find out, I hope.